How's it going, folks? This is Mike, Gray 1951, back once again to do another video. And this time I'd like to talk about a film that I saw at one of my local theaters last weekend. And I have nothing to show you because I don't have this film on DVD. In fact, it's not yet available in the United States on DVD. So all I can do is just tell you what I remember about the film from seeing it. And I have read some reviews on the internet and trying to get information about it. And the film is called BERBERIAN Sound Studio. It's a horror film made in England, and it was released in 2012, directed by a man named Peter Strickland, who also did the screenplay. And it stars an actor named Toby Jones, who plays a character named Gilroy. Okay? Now Gilroy is a sound technician, sound effects technician. I guess the term is called Foley artist. That's a term I never heard until I started reading some reviews about this film. It's completely new to me. But Gilroy is hired to do the sound effects for an Italian horror film in the year 1976. This is a giallo film, right? And the name of the film, which is kind of ridiculous, is The Equestrian Vortex. That's the English title. I can't give you the Italian title. But, okay, so he goes to Italy, and this man has never done the sound effects for a horror film before. He usually does much more gentle type of art. He does children's programs and things like that, travelogues, and this is first time doing a horror film. So he finds himself in a strange culture where he has a difficult time relating to people, how they speak to each other, how they do business, just everything about it. And so he finds himself in this situation, and he spends almost all of his time in this sound studio watching this horror film, right? So he's trying to create the sound effects. And the film turns out to be so incredibly violent and so incredibly ugly and brutal and repugnant to him that it begins to affect his mind. And as he stays in this situation, virtually being trapped in this situation, and with these people that he has a difficult time relating to, watching the violence on the screen over and over again, he begins to lose touch with reality, and he becomes delusional. Now, when I was thinking about making this video, I was trying to think of a way to talk about the story without giving too much of the plot away, to spoil it for people who haven't seen it yet. And then it occurred to me that that is the plot. That's all there is. There really isn't anything to give away. It isn't that there are no surprises in the film, no surprises in the story, but it's a very small story. It's very compressed. The story is kind of like the location in the film, the studio where this man is working. It's like he's in a box, right? A very small space, and he can't go anywhere. And in the same way, the story doesn't go anywhere either. Even though there are some threads that kind of look like they might be going somewhere, like the director of the film, the way he relates to women, he's obviously a womanizer, and he's offending some women who are in the film and by his actions. But even that doesn't go anywhere. Nothing with any of the other characters develops beyond what is happening in the room, in the studio, okay? And essentially that's what makes this man start to lose touch with reality, because he is trapped in a situation that is basically just driving him crazy. And that it sounds like it wouldn't be involving at all, really, but it's incredibly well done. It's an exercise in style. It has great acting. The visuals are amazing, and of course the sound. I mean, it's all about sound and its effects on people. And in a way, according to some of the reviews, the way they do the sound in this 1970s film, they're showing the way things used to be done in that era, where they actually they use food, right? And big pieces of fruit that they stab and they tear apart, and to make it sound like someone is being hurt, okay, like a body part is being torn apart or something like that. So to watch them do this, stabbing a big piece of melon or something like that, or tearing apart a vegetable, when you have this grotesque sound coming from the screen, it's in a way it's kind of funny, because the viewer is not seeing anything that's going on in this film. The only thing we see of this Italian giallo film is right at the beginning, which this is really clever, right at the beginning of Berberian Sound Studio. Instead of showing the credits for this film, they show the bogus credits for the Equestrian Vortex, right, of course in Italian, with all the kind of blood red visuals and shocking jazz music and all that they, well, shocking jazz music, but jazz music that has kind of a dark, horrific edge to it, as they would have done back in the 1970s in that kind of film. And that's what they used to open up the Berberian Sound Studio. And then that's the end of it. You don't see any more of the film that is constantly being, listened to, not only by the people in the studio, but by the people in the audience. And it's interesting to see the effects not on Gilroy, of course, but the rest of the people who are involved in this and have obviously done this again and again and again. To them, it's nothing. It's just work. They're actually bored with the whole thing, and they just want to, speed it up and get it done. So, but it's interesting. It's kind of an homage to the way they used to make sound effects in the old days. And yeah, it's very well done. It's extremely well done. But I have to say, when this film ended, I found myself having kind of I guess I'd have to call it a Blair Witch Project moment, right? In the sense that there was all this buildup, all this excitement, all this anticipation, and then all of a sudden it seemed to end so abruptly before anything really happened. What happened? All this buildup for this, I feel let down. There's no conclusion. There's no answer, right? There are no big plot twists, no big revelations. And I sat there in silence after the film was over, being somewhat let down and disappointed. And I think a lot of the other people in the theater, because it was very quiet. And then I listened to people as they were leaving, and I could hear a lot of people just making kind of snide remarks about the film. Yeah, what a waste of time, all that. And that's kind of how I felt. Although I did like what I had seen, and I liked the way it was done. But over the course of the next 3 or 4 days, I found myself thinking about this movie more and more. And I came to the conclusion that part of the problem, with me being disappointed at the end, I had gone into this film with a whole set of expectations about seeing a modern day horror film. I saw the previews to this film 2 weeks before when I was seeing another movie. I went to see Eraserhead, and they showed the previews to Berberian Sound Studio. And it looked so intriguing that I thought I would go. I decided that I spend so much time talking about older movies that it's time to kind of, dust off the cobwebs a little bit and go out and see something modern, take a chance. And I was expecting graphic violence, especially violence against women. I was expecting a lot of noise. Well, I certainly got that. And I was expecting plot twist after plot twist that would make the story just like, oh, I didn't think that was coming, and all this sort of thing. And that's pretty much standard fare for modern horror movies. So that's what I was expecting to see. I didn't see any of that. And when I finally realized that I was imposing my expectations on this movie, I realized that I had seen something completely unique and brilliant. And I have to say that I highly recommend this movie to people who would like to see what, I don't know, might even be considered to be a whole new genre of horror film, right? Because it in a way, it kind of goes back to the kind of films that Val Lewton was producing in the 1940s at RKO. Films that had intense atmosphere, a horrific mood that was kept building and building toward the end, but rarely showed the monster or the thing that people were imagining was going to happen. Never really was shown. And those films prove that the the imagination. What we don't see is a lot more frightening than what they splash in front of us in so many films these days, right? And I don't know. I don't know what the intention of the filmmaker was regarding violence, but I have to wonder if he was trying to make a statement about what the effect that graphic violence has on people, okay, and what it does to people who are forced, or even people who are choosing to watch violent images again and again and again, and how they will affect somebody. And I just have to say that I was very, very impressed by this movie, and I can't wait till it comes out on DVD, because I would like to watch it again and get more details and just experience the visuals, you know. And I see how it affects me by watching it over and over again. I might get delusional too. I might be delusional now. I'm not sure. Anyway, there are some interesting references to Dario Argento's Suspiria in the film, especially when they're talking about, you know, I've forgotten a lot of details of the film already, but I think they were talking about, it had something to do with witches. I think they were talking about 3 witches in the story, and some of the other things, which I can't recall, but I was thinking about, yeah, Suspiria. And let's see, there's a terrific soundtrack to the movie by a British band called, I guess it's called Broadcast. And I have to say that before they showed this this film at the Art Theater, they had a screening contest. They invited anybody in the audience who wanted to come up and see who gave the best scream. And they said they would give them a copy of the soundtrack CD, right? So they had 2 young women get up there, and each one of them screamed, and then we had the applause contest, you know, for this one and that one. I thought that was kind of a cool idea. Anyway, so I just wanted to share. Yeah, so anyway, tonight, so late Sunday night, I'm having red wine in a Pepsi-Cola glass, which is kind of odd, but I don't know, it works. So thank you very much for listening. And if anybody has seen this film, please give me a response, because I'd like to talk to people who have seen it. And again, I highly recommend it. Thank you for watching. Okay.